All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to ask the question, should the New York Jets try to go out and acquire Dante Fowler Jr. from the Atlanta Falcons, a guy who could potentially be on the move here? Okay, as we all know, Carl Lawson, done for the year. Vinny Curry, done for the year. The Jets are already down a couple of defensive ends, and the regular season is still 2 weeks away. We look at how important this position is in the solid defense. It is vital that this position has some sort of production if you want to have overall success on the defensive side of the football. When we factor Fowler into the mix, there's a lot of positives. There's also a couple negatives. Let's not waste time. Let's jump in. So when we take a look at Dante Fowler, former 3rd overall pick in the draft back in 2015, 6'3", 255, 27 years old. Admittedly, I've always been a really big fan of Fowler. Just me being from Florida, watching pretty much every single one of his Gators games. This guy, he always impressed me. He always impressed me by his speed, his strength, but really how he attacked the game, how he attacked quarterbacks. He just had this aggressive, this violent nature to him that kind of just drew me in. I feel like that edge nowadays is somewhat lost, but when you watch Fowler back at UF, I mean, his bend around tackles was great. His speed flying off the edge, his versatility, he can line up in a 4-3 defense as that traditional end or in a 3-4 defense as that stand-up outside linebacker. He could do a lot of things. Now, you know, you can make the argument, hey, he didn't really live up to being the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and that's probably true. You know, he short career in Jacksonville, traded to the Rams, spent last year with the Atlanta Falcons, signing that 3-year contract worth, I believe, $45 million. We take a look at what he did last year in 14 games. He had 23 combined tackles, 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Obviously, those numbers don't really jump off the page. They're not too impressive. They definitely didn't reflect what he was being paid. In turn, the Falcons actually asked him to take a pay cut. So he's only a $10.6 million cap hit. In 2021, here's what's really interesting. In 2022, he's only a $4.6 million cap hit. And that season is actually voidable by the team. That could be a selling point for Joe Douglas and the New York Jets, but back in 2019 with the LA Rams, under Staley, by the way, who's now the head coach of the Chargers, Dante Fowler really burst onto the scene. He had a big role with the Rams defense. He had 11.5 sacks, 6 passes defended against, 16 quarterback hits, 58 combined tackles. The guy was great. He just really flashed in that Rams defense, and quite frankly, he earned that 3-year contract from Atlanta. It didn't really work out in Atlanta, but hey, it was one season. It was the virus here. A lot of different factors kind of play into it. So if you're the New York Jets here, understanding that, okay, this is a young football team. Dante Fowler's only 27 years old. He is not 35. He is not some veteran on the way out. Looking at the roster, Carl Lawson, 3-year contract, done for the year. No Vinny Curry. We're short at that position. Fowler's stock is pretty low, okay, based off of what we saw in 2020. We have to ask the question, who's running the Atlanta Falcons? They have a brand new regime in the building. Is there a chance? Is there a possibility that this new Falcons front office, this new Falcons coaching staff would want to alleviate Fowler's contract off of the books? They already asked him to take a pay cut. Could they just want to move him completely? I feel like there's a pretty high chance of that happening. Now, I will say this. I don't really know the overall direction of Atlanta. Are they leaning more towards rebuilding? Are they leaning more towards win now? Almost like a reload as opposed to a rebuild? I'm not too sure what the future holds for the Falcons, but all I'm saying is this, because Fowler is coming off of a down year, with the Falcons introducing a brand new front office, a brand new coaching staff, and a brand new culture, there's a chance that Atlanta would want to cut ties with the bigger contracts from the Dan Quinn era. Dante Fowler is one of those players, okay? Another thing that we have to take into consideration here, we look at some of the coaching staffs, some coaches that Fowler's worked with in the past. Jeff Ulbrich last season with the Falcons, Robert Saleh a couple years ago back when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars as the linebackers coach. There's a lot of different connections here. Fowler fits the system. He has playing experience with the coaches. He has versatility. He fits the timeline. He's only 27 years old. He is violent. He is aggressive. He likes to get after the passer. He's coming off of a pretty down season, so his stock is low. We don't have to give up a first-round pick to go get Fowler, not in the least. If we're talking, guys like Chandler Jones and whatnot, yeah, we would have to probably give up a relatively high draft pick. With Dante Fowler, on the other hand, I wouldn't necessarily feel like we would have to give up like 2s or, ones or anything like that. Luckily for the Jets, we have 2 1s and 2 2s and, a 3rd and a 4th, but there's a lot of different dots that can be connected here. And the cherry on top is that the Jets have $17 to $19 million in cap space, so we can afford Dante Fowler for not only 2021, but 2022 as well. Let's just say worst case scenario, the Jets give up something, we acquire Fowler. Hey, he doesn't work out and the Jets want to part ways with him after this season. It's okay. 2022 is voidable, and even if we want to keep him on the roster, it's only a $4.6 million cap hit, and on top of that, Carl Lawson should be good to go. He's coming back, and now we're looking at the defensive end position in 2022 as a loaded group with Lawson and Fowler off the edge. And now all of a sudden Fowler would get slotted in as the second pass rusher, not as the number 1 premier guy. So for me, it's a win-win all across the board. I think New York should seriously consider this, depending on, of course, the asking price. But I feel like at this point, it couldn't hurt. It would only improve the team. And he's only 27 years old. 27 years old. Saleh has learned a lot since his time in Jacksonville. Okay, he has a resume of getting the most out of his players, maximizing the talents. Dante Fowler, electric in college, great in Jacksonville, former 3rd overall pick. He has all of the physical traits. He plays with a big time motor. I think this could I could really see this happening here. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but at the end of the day, I like Fowler. I'm a huge fan, and I love the defensive scheme. I love the fit. I love the coaching staff. I love it overall. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Dante Fowler to the Jets. Should we do it? What would you feel comfortable giving up? Maybe a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick? Is that too high for you? Or is it great value? So can't wait to see what you guys have to say. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.